Hello, you guys. I am testing the live stream feature in here, and I have no idea if I'm doing this correctly. I don't know if I'm doing this correctly. Oh my God, I'm doing OBS and it says I'm connected, but who knows? Let me see. Let me go to my YouTube just to make sure. And then I will cut this entire part later. What is happening? What is happening? Content. Oh, I'm live. Hello, guys. I'm live, I think. Am I live? I don't even know. This doesn't work. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so sorry if anyone is here. I don't even think anyone is here. Oh wait. Yes, it does. I am live. Can you guys hear me okay? Hear me okay? Oh my God. Okay, so this is the first time I'm doing live and I haven't really figured out how to do OBS and connect it to my thing. It doesn't say that I'm live, but then I looked on my YouTube and I'm live. Okay, I'm live. Wow. Okay. 17 people watching me right now. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry. I was not prepared for this. Hold on. Loud and clear. Okay. I was not prepared for this, you guys. So I am so incredibly sorry. I still have to figure out all of this because we are brand new at this. I know in our Yoel and Mari channel, we've done live before, but that was like 4 years ago. And so I don't remember how to set it up. So I am on OBS and it shows that I'm on, but then it doesn't show me the chat. And I see myself here, but I'm lagged. So, anyways, hi you guys. I'm gonna cut all of that first part out for this first video, but I wanted to come on and I'm gonna do a practice run here. So if you guys want to watch me, you guys can watch me. If not, no hard feelings because this is gonna be a test run. I am pretending that I'm doing this, so we'll see. So I have been sent this video from YouTube multiple times, and I wanted to do a reaction to it because I don't know if you guys know this, but, and this is really hard to admit, is that everything that Yoel and I, everything that millions of people in the exile, everything that hundreds of thousands of people who left on a raft in the 1990s and continue to do so today, the thousands of people who are dead in the Florida Straits, I don't know how to put this, but we're lying. Yeah, we're lying. And in order for you to understand where we're lying, we're going to get educated today. We're going to get educated by a non-binary socialist person in America. So without further ado, I had this whole thing planned, but I'm doing this live. This is impromptu. We are going to watch a video that I have been sent many times here on YouTube, and I'm going to be reacting to it because at the end of the day, I'm propagandized, you guys. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Cuba. I don't know about the history I was told. I don't know about my family's pain. I don't know about the life that I lived in Cuba with Yoel, Yoel's life experiences. I don't know anything. It's all propaganda that I was told to. Of course, socialists are not immune to propaganda. Only people who are not socialist, right? So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm so sorry, you guys, if you're watching me live. There's 39 of you guys. You don't have to be here. This is a test run. So, but you know what? I'm going to have fun anyway. So get in the chat. Hello, everybody. Love seeing you live. Good evening, Mari. Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry, you guys. I was not prepared. But let's go through it because, you guys, this girl right here, her name is Revolutionary Thought. They, I don't know anymore. They are a non-binary Marxist trying to unpropagandize us from the red scare that is communism, you guys. Communism! The bad word. The word that she has never had to live through. The word that she's only read in books and on Reddit forums, but the word that she's actually never had to live in one day of her life in that reality. So without further ado, let's get into it, you guys, because I got sent this many, many times, and I am doing a live reaction here on YouTube of this video. Okay, so the video is entitled Everything You've Been Told About Cuba is a Lie. Now, I watched like the first 10 minutes of this. So this is actually, I don't have any script. This is not coordinated. I have no idea what she's going to say beyond those 10 minutes, but I really don't want to go beyond the 10 minutes because she gets into like the free healthcare, the free education, the free blah, 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 blah. And I just don't have the evidence to unrefute her ready right now because like I said, this is impromptu. So we're going to do the first 10 minutes and you guys can see my reaction to this. All right. So this video got 100,000. I don't even know how many views it got, but I think it's up to like 100,000, maybe more views, and hundreds, if not thousands of comments agreeing with her, agreeing with a woman that's never stepped foot in Cuba. So, all right, like I said, there's 50 people here watching. This is a very impromptu live. I'm testing this live feature out right now. I did not do it well at all. But here we go. Yoel, I'm live right now. He just got home from work. I'm in vivo and YouTube.
Where? Oh, hi guys.
Right there.
How you doing? She's the best.
Okay, so I literally just tested this right now and it's working, but it doesn't work on here. So I don't know what's going on.
Okay, you show me how I can do in YouTube too, and God bless America.
I'm reacting to a socialist that said that everything we know about Cuba is a lie.
That's funny. Today in my complex, I met a Chinese teenager.
And?
Coming from China.
And what did he say?
She said, I hate the people in the United States. They say, I don't want to live in the United States. It's a bad country. And he said, I'm really proud living in the United States. Chinese guy, we talking a lot of times, say, he's in the middle.
Okay.
It was fun.
Well, I'm going to be reacting to this girl that said everything that we know about Cuba is a lie, and she's a socialist.
He talking the same, say, do you know how many? He have 5 million people in TikTok.
We should do something with him.
He have 5 million people.
We should do something with him.
And then he said, oh, thank you for everything. I like it to talk to you. He said, oh, me
Say
too.
hi to the chat.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Okay, you guys, I'm so sorry. This is, like I said, this is a live that I didn't even know it was going to work. And then I realized I'm actually live. So you know what? F it. We're doing it. Okay, how's my volume? Okay, anyways, let's get into the video. If you guys can't hear me, you guys can't hear me. Okay. I'm on live right now.
Okay, babe.
Oh. Okay. Bye.
On January 29th, 2026, Trump signed an executive order imposing tariffs on Cuba or any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba. This is while Cuba is already suffering from an energy crisis. This is an aggressive act of economic sabotage that will negatively impact food transportation and production.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, I wasn't even paying attention because I see myself right here. I wasn't even paying that much of attention, but look at this t-shirt, you guys. How much do you think she paid for the t-shirt? How much do you guys think that she paid for her socialist t-shirt living in capitalism? I want to know that, okay? Did anyone give it to her for free out of the goodness of their socialist hearts? Or did she have to pay for that? Anyways, let's see what she has to say.
Function, schools, basically every institution in Cuba, which will lead to a lot of unnecessary loss of human life unless something is done about this. This executive order is an escalation of the US's 60-year economic blockade against Cuba, which has been pretty much universally condemned, with nearly
Okay, so that's true. I mean, yeah. Okay, what else is she gonna say?
every country on Earth voting at the UN to demand an end to the blockade, except, you guessed it, 2 settler colonial states built on genocide. Although apparently last year, in 2025, 5 more countries voted to keep the blockade going, so that's pretty whack.
So I don't understand why leftists always bring up this point about the UN condemning the US embargo as if that does anything. What do you think that gets to? I mean, and the Human Rights Council and the UN, Sudan and North Korea were on it. So like the UN is basically a moral virtuing signal for the entire world. And yeah, 187 countries condemned the US embargo. That's why 187 countries can and do trade with Cuba. They do, including the United States, So that's 188 different countries that trade willingly, if they want, with the island nation. So I don't even know why they always bring this up as if it's some win. And I'm like, it's not. It's a UN vote. Okay, and they vote to condemn North Korea's nuclear bombs. Do you think North Korea is gonna end their nuclear bomb system? No, I mean, okay, let's keep going.
Here, I'm gonna assume you're someone who cares about people having their basic material needs met and human rights and standing against genocidal policies. And if that's you, you should definitely care about this. In this video,
I do care. That's why our entire content is always dedicated to the Cuban people. But notice how she said material basic needs, which means in socialist terms means your housing, your food, and everything for free, right? But in order to provide food and housing and healthcare and all those basic materialist needs for free, you need to take somebody's labor to do that. That requires somebody else's labor, which then requires the force of that labor, which then is in and of itself a juxtaposition on 2 rights colliding with each other, because rights is something that doesn't require force, right? You are inherently gifted, endowed by whatever creator that you think of, because you're a living, breathing person, so you don't have to ask anybody for that right. That's what a right is. Perhaps she didn't realize that in her philosophy class on Reddit, but that's what a right is. It's not a want, because a want is much different than a right. So when you demand the labor of somebody to give that to you, you're essentially requiring force, which can only be subjugated by the monopoly of it, which is the state. You guys follow me here? But let's keep going. I mean, I care about human rights. Does she? Let's see if she's going to talk about the dictatorship.
I'm going to go over why the solution to Cuba's problems is ending the blockade and definitely not regime change, what Cuba has been able to accomplish despite the blockade thanks to its socialist system, and how this executive order is just regurgitated Red Scare propaganda. Plus, I'll give you some info about what you can do to help at the end.
Yeah, but socialists are, they're so immune to propaganda. I forgot about that. You're not propagandized. It's just the other person, right? Actually, honestly, that's the entire socialist frameworking in and of a nutshell. It's like, if we just have the other people decide where all the healthcare funds goes instead of these people, everything will be magical and great and rainbows and fairies and everybody will have everything. Anyways, I'm going to keep going because we'll never get done with this live if I don't keep cutting her off.
But first, a word from today's sponsor, Aura. You know what I really hate? The fact that data brokers
What?
make
What? Is she doing an ad in the middle of a Marxist video? Are you guys watching? What? Oh my god, I'm like 30 seconds lagged on here, so I need to see what you guys are saying. I need to see what you guys are saying. Oh my... Is this not the definition of irony, you guys? She's going on about Marxist propaganda and she's doing an ad for a capitalist country, capitalist business. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my god, I'm like 30 seconds lagging in here. Everyone's laughing. Oh my god. What? You know what? If she was truly a Marxist, like not even, we have done ads in the past before, Yoel and I, but I am extremely picky on who I work with. And the ad money is not coming in anymore. Let me tell you guys that brands do not want to work with us anymore because we are inherently political. And so I would much rather get the revenue from you guys watching. Just simply watching gives us revenue from YouTube. You don't even have to do anything. You can just watch our videos and that's it. And like, if she was truly a communist, like if she's truly a Marxist, she would rely on her community views for it. Now she's doing ads. ¡Ay, Dios mío! ¡Dios mío! No. Los comunistas no tiene vergüenza. Los comunistas no tiene vergüenza. That means communists have no shame. They have no shame. Anyways, I'm going to cut this part out. Let's see where she ends this. Where does she end this? She's still going. Oh my god, it's a minute long. She's still go. It's 2 minutes long! Aura.com/revolutionary. I gotta clip this. Okay. What are you guys saying? Love you guys. This is comical. Oh my gosh. Okay. She's still going. Okay. Number 1, the blockade must end. Okay. They, them in Illinois. Let's hear it. Oh, espérate. Sorry, you guys. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Oh, man. Hold on 1 second, you guys. My headphones. See, I am not prepared for this at all. I am not prepared for this at all. Okay, all right. Let's see if that will help.
mentioned earlier, the US has been economically blockading Cuba and preventing it from participating in global markets since the 1960s, which has cost Cuba at least $130 billion as of 2018, according to the UN, which means that number is even bigger now. Obviously, this has terrible consequences, like limiting Cuba's access to medicine and medical equipment, fuel, and food, among other things.
Okay, you would think that if you're gonna make a comprehensive video about Cuba, you would do some basic research. In 2001, the United States government passed a legislation called the Food and Sanctions Act of 2001. I believe it's called that. It's not the Food and Sanctions, the Trade Act of 2001, something like that. I can't remember the exact wording. And in 2001, the United States lifted medicine and food from the embargo. So those are regularly traded within both countries all the time. In fact, the number one food importer one of the biggest importers of food in Cuba is the United States. The number one soy and number one chicken importer in Cuba is the United States. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. This is what happens when you have people that like read Reddit for, their university degree level, like You know, they read a forum on Reddit, and so now they're making a video.
Cuba only produces 40% of its own energy requirements, and the US is now actively attempting to deprive it of the remaining 60%. This is a genocidal policy and also happens to be one of the first things Israel did when it heightened the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza.
Of course, they always have to turn it to Israel, you know? Like, we can have our criticisms of the state of Israel, especially in US foreign policy, but like, this whole like wackadoodle, everything is because of the Jews. It's just like, it's tired. Okay, girl? It's tired. Like, you don't have to do it to it. You don't have to connect it to Israel at all. Like, it is what it is. Also, genocidal. I find that wording very strange because the Cuban government had about 67 years of international relations with other countries where it basically was a pariah state of the Soviet Union, then of Venezuela, where they would be getting money injected to their own economy for years and years and years. During the Soviet Union pumped $3 million into the Cuban economy every single day. Do you think that the Cuban government said, hey, let's update the electrical grid, let's update infrastructure, let's update basic things like the housing that is crumbling, that you think that everybody has in Cuba, right? It's this materialistic right that you just said that they have in Cuba, right? They didn't do any of that. And then when the Soviet Union collapsed, so did Cuba, because Cuba doesn't produce anything. It cannot self-sustain itself. So that's why it had to be a pariah state of the Soviet Union. Then when the Soviet Union collapsed, it did the same thing to Venezuela. Venezuela sent Cuba hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil every single day to the island nation. And do you want to know what Cuba did with that? It took a percentage of that for its own consumption, okay, and then sold the other to China. Sold it to China. Do you think that with that money, did they update the electrical grid? No. Did they update the infrastructure? No. Do they do any of the things that you think that Cuba has, all of the revolutionary ideas that Cuba has? No, mi amor, no. These are things that you do not know about. These things that go on in Cuba, the internal domestic policies, the internal economic decisions that the party has made for 67 years, these people, this girl does not know about them at all. At all. She doesn't know that in 1966, there was a newspaper, Granma, Cuban newspaper, that said blackouts, a temporary problem. And that was in 1966. This is not new. It's certainly not new because Donald Trump did an oil tariff, which is, by the way, got struck by the Supreme Court. So now people are sending oil to Cuba. There's 2 Russian ships going over there right now. This did not start because Trump did this on January 29th. Like, if you're Cuban, you know that there have been blackouts in the country for years now. Now, there have been waves where you see blackouts, right? And this wave of blackouts has started probably 2 years ago. Yeah, we're in 2026. It's partly started in 2024. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm only 3 minutes in, and I'm already sweating. Dios mío.
Energy to Gaza. And honestly, you should still be paying attention to what's going on in Palestine because the genocide is not over despite the ceasefire. And what's happening in Palestine is connected to what's happening in Cuba, which we'll get to later, so put a pin in that. As Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel stated, a lack of
Cuban dictator, nobody elected him.
Fuel will negatively impact pretty much every single institution in Cuba, from food production to hospitals to schools.
So then why didn't they invest in solar panels? Why did they invest in the electrical grid? Why didn't they invest in liberalizing their economy? I mean, at the end of the day, the accountability stops with the president, the dictator.
Fuel is a vital necessity for the functioning of any nation at this point, and depriving Cuba of it is cruel, inhumane, and straight up evil. The US government has always been transparent about its desire to enact regime change in Cuba ever since the Cuban Revolution successfully ousted the US-backed capitalist Batista regime. I mean,
oh my gosh. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. There just comes a point where you say this so many times and these dumb do not comprehend, okay? So I don't know what this girl's name is, but her name is Revolutionary Thought. So that's how I'm going to address her. Revolutionary Thought. Do you know the most, like, you couldn't even do basic research. This is why I know that this video is full of shit, because she said what she just said. Let me back it up. Hold on, you guys. Listen to this again.
And depriving Cuba of it is cruel, inhumane, and straight up evil. The US government has always been transparent about its desire to enact regime change in Cuba ever since the Cuban Revolution successfully ousted the US-backed capitalist Batista regime. I mean,
the US-backed capitalist Batista regime. Does she know that in 1940, the first elected president in Cuba, the first democratically elected president in Cuba was in 1940? Who was that? Batista. And Batista ran not as a capitalist, not as a Democrat, not as a Republican, not as the new party of Cuba. No. Do you know what he ran under, mi amor? He ran under a socialist. He won being a socialist. Espérate. Because I'm not prepared. I have proof. He won being a socialist. Do you guys see that? Batista, Socialist Coalition. That's what it says. Democratic Socialist. Okay? He won being a democratic socialist, mi amor. Okay, that's number one. When Batista came back in 1953 and did a coup d'etat, now we're talking about, you know, how he totally went against the democratic process, which we are all in agreement with. The only reason why Fidel was able to get to the point where he is today, was able to succeed in the revolution, is because Fidel Castro promised many times on national television, promised in interviews, in the Sierra Maestras where he started the revolution, that he was a capitalist. That he was a democratic capitalist, that he was going to restore the 1940 Constitution, that he was going to restore elections, that he was going to restore free speech. He was going to restore everything that Batista promised. That's why he was successful. Okay? This is little known Cuban history that these dumb do not understand. Is that Fidel Castro never started the revolution under Marxist ideas. Never, not once did he say that he was a Marxist. Not once. It wasn't until 1960 when he met with Vice President Nixon at the time. And Nixon was like, I don't know about this guy. He's a little sus. That he aligned himself with the Soviet Union, because at that time, of course, it was the Cold War. So in a desperate move, because he knew that the economy, his people, like in a desperate move to get some sort of support from either the United States or the Soviet Union, he ultimately went with Soviet Union. He started nationalizing all industries. It was very quick. He started nationalizing all of the industries, and not just American, also Cuban industries, and declared himself a Marxist. That's how this happened, mi amor. That is how this happened. The Cuban people throughout 67 years have not once voted for socialism or communism, Marxism, rather, this brand of Marxism. Not once in that 67 years did they vote for Fidel, did they vote for the nationalization, did they vote to end capitalism, did they vote to end democratic elections, did they vote to end the end of free speech. No, mi amor, that's not how it went. So I know that they don't teach you that in Reddit University, but that is very, very clearly outlined in history. The man never started out as a Marxist. So I hate this like oversimplification of Cuban history that be like, oh, well, it was Batista. And let me tell you that there was no fight. There was no Batista fight and Fidel's men fight in La Habana. The reason why Fidel was able to walk into La Habana and get the capital on January 1st in 1959 is because weeks prior, the United States heavily pressured Batista to leave. That's why there was no fight. Batista left before Fidel came into La Habana. Why? Because the United States asked him to. That's why. I can't do you guys. I can't. I'm sweating. I'm already sweating.
Marco Rubio even admitted recently that that's still the goal. That's what they're trying to do for imperialist purposes.
I'm not asking you whether we would prefer a different kind of government. I'm asking whether you are trying to precipitate the fall of the current regime.
Yeah, but that's
We all know that we're trying to regime change. Hello? That's the fucking point. Oh wow, you Ralph, a revolutionary thought. You should really do a lot of political analysis. What insight? Of course, Marco Rubio is the child of Cuban immigrants. In 67 years in Miami, all we have wanted was regime change.
the Helms-Burton Act. The U.S. embargo on Cuba is codified.
As if she like
it was
discovered
codified in law, and
something
it
new.
requires regime change in order for us to lift the embargo.
The entire purpose of
Yes, the embargo requires the end of the blockade, or the embargo rather. The end of the embargo has stipulations. We are not going to remove it because Revolutionary Thought bought a communist t-shirt on Amazon and she says it's horrible. Okay? There's conditions to it. Okay? Conditions like free speech, free democratic elections, and free press. If the Castros don't want to do that because they know they'll lose in a democratically elected election, that's a you guys problem, not our problem.
is make Cubans so poor, so hungry, and so desperate that they overthrow their socialist government, or at least oust the government and open up a power vacuum for the US to fill.
Oh, isn't it also interesting that Fidel Castro nationalized all of the businesses and he said, no more capitalism. And for 67 years, if you're Cuban in the chat, the 67 years, capitalists are pigs. Injustice. Capitalism is economic warfare. And then all of a sudden you're crying because those same capitalists are not trading with you? Okay. All right. Some fucking... sorry, I don't mean to swear. Some... Marxist you are, but okay.
So transparently the entire point that even the Google AI overview blatantly says that, because it's pulling directly from the State Department website. All the other listed reasons are basically provided because we want to starve people until they overthrow the government. Sounds so cartoonishly evil that the State Department had to sprinkle in some human rights framing and a whole bunch of anti-communist rhetoric to justify the blockade and frame it as being in the name of national security and human rights and not just, we will starve you until you obey. Like, they literally had to make
What? Okay, hold on. Let's
stuff up for people to be mad about so they wouldn't recognize just how inhumane the blockade is.
They make things up. They make things up. You guys, I mean, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? What's the point of this? Because she thinks that we're making things up. She thinks that my husband, who went to jail for 2 days because I said something in a police station, she thinks that was made up. She thinks that Jose Daniel Ferrer, one of our greatest political dissidents who was in prison for 4 years, is just making it up. She thinks that Alcantara, Michael Osorbo, two Afro, because they love everything to do with race, two Afro Cubans, and most of the political prisoners in Cuba are black, by the way. That's just made up. That's made up. Because they said they were in disagreement with their own government, the government they never chose. They were born into and they never chose. That's just made up. What am I doing? Like, what the fuck is the point?
Is the highest stage of capitalism, read the book, and relies on constant expansion into new markets. When countries have a socialist mode of production where workers collectively own the means of production, that closes off a potential market for imperialist expansion. Imperialists obviously don't like that, but the states...
Okay, so this is, I don't know what her definition of capitalism is, but here is where my educational background in political theory comes in. When we talk about capitalism in the semantical way that most people think about capitalism, we talk about free markets, right? Free markets where people voluntarily, without the force of government, exchange a good in service for something else, right? In this case, in the modern era, it would be money, right? We exchange it voluntarily. And every single day, we make those decisions voluntarily. She made a voluntary choice to go to Amazon and buy that disgusting shirt and that fake plant, right? And so she voluntarily did that. There was no force, no coercion involved in that. And that's what we say when we mean capitalism, right? Imperialism is the antithesis of capitalism because it requires the state. Socialism depends on the state for compliance. You depend on the state so that everybody has the collective means, the means of production, right? And that it's distributed equally throughout society. There needs to be a mechanism in which to do so. Most of the time in Marx's Communist Manifesto that I have over there, he thinks that a state should be the transitionary way into getting into communism. You always have to require the state. That's what she has not explained in this video. But I digress. I just keep going. I mean, this is ridiculous. Also, socialists are just as imperialist as capitalists, including Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro had many foreign interventions all over the world, including Venezuela, including Bolivia, including Nicaragua, Colombia, Brazil, many countries in Africa. But I guess when socialists do it, it's for human rights, right? Okay.
Department can't tell you we want to expand into new markets to maximize shareholder value because that's not really compelling to a regular working class person. But you know what is compelling? Human rights framing. Like they're literally like,
they have really bad human rights. We need to do this to fix their human rights. If you care about this, you're really into human rights, and that's so American of you.
Because
Actually, yeah, there's a lot of human rights. There's a lot of human rights problems in Cuba. And it's not like a fucking joke. And it's not like an issue. It's actually real. Because my grandfather went to jail because he didn't like Che Guevara. The same person that you wear on your fucking t-shirt.
What the fuck is that? Let's hear that again.
imperialists obviously don't like that. But the State Department can't tell you we want to expand into new markets to maximize shareholder value because that's not really compelling to a regular working class person. But you know what is compelling? Human rights framing. Like they're literally like,
they have really bad human rights. We need to.
They do have bad human rights. Like, why is she joking about that? She, like, if you were, there's one thing to be a leftist and to be a Marxist. I can actually respect Marxists that call out the Cuban regime. I can respect because there are some Marxists that recognize that, no, you guys, this is not actually Marxism. This is a dictatorship. And go after the dictatorship and say, no, you can't be abusing people's human rights like that. I would have a little bit more respect for her. But Afine, like, what the hell? Like, what is
fix their human rights. If you care about this, you're really into human rights, and that's so American of you.
Because Americans think they're the
irony
most human rights loving people in the world. Please don't fall for that. Human rights are cool and all, but this is absolutely not the way to generate them. But they don't have freedom of speech there. What a coincidence. Neither do you. And since you care about freedom of speech so much, surely you spoke.
Neither do you? Chat, am I in a different dimension? Because she published this, didn't she? She published this. And the entire video, 30 minutes of it, is criticizing the US government. Did she not publish this? Am I not reacting to this? Do I live in the Matrix? What is going on? For her to say that we do not have freedom of speech when she just used her freedom of speech, she uploaded this without 1 second of thinking it. Because you know why? Because she has to make money for the ad that she's sponsoring in this. She didn't even think. She didn't even think about uploading this video. Not one thought. When we were in Cuba, I would upload pictures, and in the captions, I would be very I would hit the Cuban government very much. And I did it in like a subliminal way where you had to read between the lines. Like I did it very code, but even that I got interrogated for. I got called by a police officer and asked me, why am I writing what I'm writing? Even that. I shook every time I uploaded something. I remember we did a series called Without Electricity in Cuba, because the lie of the Cuban government for 67 years is that Fidel Castro put electricity everywhere, even the rural parts. And that's not true. So we went to a part where there was no electricity for 60, there still is not to this day electricity there. And there's people living there. And we went and we did a whole series about it. Maybe I'll publish it on my, on this channel one of these days. But we did that, and I got a knock on the door the next day. We got a knock on the door. What are you doing? Does she get a knock on the door? Does she get a knock on the door? Come mierda.
De Sesta and are currently fighting against the government's attempts to repeal Section 230. That would do a lot more for freedom of speech than worrying about the domestic policies of a country you have no control over. If you want Cuba to have better free speech or whatever, then fight to end the blockade. Focus on some...
Why do you need capitalist money? You're a socialist. Why would you want capitalist money? The demands are very clear. Open up your democratic process and then we can trade with you. Just like they have the right to have their economic shitty system of socialism, so do we. We can say, no, we don't want to trade with shitty socialists that tell us that have for 67 years been saying that how much of pigs we are, how much social injustice people we are, how horrible we are, how gusano we are, how this, blah, 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 blah. Why would we want to trade with you? You're socialists. Trade with other socialist countries in the world if you feel so compelled with your system. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'll keep going.
Do have control over, rather than freaking out about something that you can't do anything about and manufacturing consent for stuff like this in the meantime. As I constantly say, thanks to the wonderful book that is Shamansky's Human Rights in the Soviet Union, a country that is unstable will always become more repressive because a country's first priority is self-preservation.
That's how Castro was able to succeed.
Much like how self-preservation is typically a human's first priority, or any animal's, really. So making a country even more unstable will generate the opposite of more human rights, actually. It'll generate more repression and give a government more reasons to fight against anyone looking to sabotage.
So you want... So I like this argument because I would love to dissect it more with her, is that so now we need a strong, stable state in order to promote stability so that we don't have human rights abuses. So that's essentially also another argument that fascists use. Just saying. You need the strong state, strong national state to stabilize. But okay. All right. I mean, that's a whole other topic.
It's trying to protect itself, which it's going to do when it's feeling threatened. Which, duh. If you care about human rights in Cuba, the solution is not regime change, but an end to the economic blockade that's been strangling Cuba.
I don't understand how that is any sort of solution. So we end the economic blockade, we give more money to Cuba, and then in turn the regime controls and hoards more money so they can repress even more. We tried this in China, girlfriend. We tried this in China. It didn't work in China. The entire reason why we wanted to open up with China, a big part of, not the entire reason, a big part of this reason was like, okay, we're gonna open up with China, and then the society is going to create a civil society in which they're gonna protest for their rights and their free speech and democracy and blah, blah, blah. Never happened. Never happened. Never happened. I mean, what the cards are the United States, whether you like it or not. The people that hold the cards in this is the United States, and if they want them to change their democratic process by trade, then that's their right to do that. I mean, we did this in South Africa. The entire reason why apartheid was able to successfully end is because the entire world did a blockade on South Africa. And I don't hear any of you guys saying, oh my God, that was a genocide that the world committed on South Africa. Same thing. I mean, sometimes I just don't understand how these people even get a platform, but I guess ignorance is bliss. Dale, we keep going.
For 60 years. Especially because you know what else generates the opposite of human rights? Capitalism. Unless a human right you really value is the right to be executed in the street by a masked, unaccountable incel, or the right to...
Oh my God. See, so they take these like one-off things that, of course, we can criticize. Of course, we should be criticizing them. And we have criticized them like she's just doing right now because we have freedom of speech and that we should go out on the street and protest for. But is that a regular occurrence? Am I going outside of my door right now and thinking like some weirdo is gonna, some state is going to me? No.
Medical debt. And even if Cuba had the worst human rights in the world, making it more unstable by forcing regime change onto it or enacting genocidal policies against it would not make their human rights better. That is not how anything works. Starving people until they do what you want is like not a good plan.
It worked in South Africa.
That just kills people.
Carl, that kills people.
Basically, every single critique of Cuba.
This is why I know she's chronically online, because I have no idea what that reference was. If you guys know what it is in the chat.
Answered with, yeah, because there's an economic blockade, the solution is to lift it. They're really poor and don't produce nice things for their people. Yeah, because of the economic blockade, the solution is to.
Okay, I don't have the data sets with me, but there are so many policies, government enacted policies that the government has done throughout the 67 years that have led to this. I talked earlier about the dependence on Soviet Union, the dependence on Venezuela, how they mismanaged the funds of those two things. They've also done crazy dual currency that completely ruined the currency of Cuba, completely devastated the currency of Cuba. They changed their currency 4 times within the last 10 years. That in and of itself will cripple an economy. Right? And so their refusal to let go of economic dictatorship on the island is the reason why we see Cuba the way that it is today. If you guys want, on Twitter, there's a Cuban economist. His name is Pedro Montreal. Pedro Montreal is amazing. He is a Cuban economist and he explains everything from the Cuban data points that they publish, the ones that they do publish. He goes through it and he does a very great analysis on how the Cuban government has mismanaged funds that it does bring in. She probably doesn't know that in budget year 2024, the Cuban government used 54% of its budget on tourism, the construction of hotels, and the tourism infrastructure as a whole. 54%. Do you want to know how much that they paid into all the great things that she thinks about the Cuban system? I'm sure healthcare, education, housing. They spent less than a combined 15%, I believe. I don't have the chart with you here, but I have shown it on my other channels before. And this is like the mismanagement, right? Is that they rather promote tourism, right? They rather construct new hotels, even though tourism has been declining for the past 8 years. They'd rather construct more hotels and more hotels and more hotels in the hopes that tourism comes than investing in their own people. And they've done this repeatedly throughout 67 years. They did it during the Soviet Union time. They did it through Venezuela, and now they're doing it now. So, I mean, at some point, you have to take responsibility. The Cuban government has to take responsibility for its own inefficient decisions. It just has. It has to. But there is no accountability on the island because there's no way to vote them out, mi amor. There's no way that we can hold people accountable because we can't vote them out. So they just keep doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. Oh my God, it's been 48 minutes since I've done my live. Okay,
they don't have access to necessary medical equipment. Yeah, because of the blockade, the solution is to lift it.
No, I just proved that to you wrong. The blockade does not include medicine or food.
Their toilets don't have seats! Yeah, because of the blockade, the solution is to lift it. They don't have freedom of speech and engage in repression of dissidents. Yeah, literally every single country in the world. Did you know that treason is illegal literally everywhere? And
Is she now justifying this? Is she justifying that Black Cubans who their only crime was to hold up a sign that said no more repression? Is that is she justifying that because that's treason? Then what you're doing is treason. If that is treason, right? If she's justifying that as treason, right? that a person that can't even go outside and say no more repression, free Cuba, right? That was their only crime. This is Luis Robles that I'm talking about. You guys want to Google him. He's still in jail. He's rotting in jail to this day. If that is her definition of treason, then what is she doing?
Yeah, because when a country is being economically strangled, it will defend itself by limiting freedom of speech to some degree. The solution is to lift the economic blockade if you want Cuba to...
Thank you so much. I just saw a chat for $40. I came from communist Vietnam. Yes, I'm sure you know. We need to send these people to communist country and stay there for a month. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Thank you so much for the $40. Wow, thank you. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate when you guys support the channel. So thank you so much. Everybody's already supporting the channel with your views, so I appreciate it very much. Let's keep going. I'm almost done here because I don't think I'm gonna. Her video is 38 minutes long, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but let's just see when she ends this part of it.
You hold so dear that you consider them more important than some of the accomplishments that Cuba's been able to achieve despite the blockade. Okay, maybe not everyone considers freedom of speech more important than full literacy, free education, free universal healthcare, free childcare, affordable housing with a near...
Okay, so first of all, full literacy is wrong, okay? Free education, there was free education under Batista, so that wasn't new because of the revolution. Free universal health care, all of these things are not free because the Cuban people have to pay for it. It just comes out of their paychecks invisibly. Like there's no pay stub that says, like this much for healthcare. Like these are all, you all have to pay for it. This is not, nothing here is free. But universal healthcare, you still have to bribe doctors to see you. You have to bring your own sheets, your own medicine, your own syringes, your own everything. Not because of the U.S. embargo, because like I said, those things are exempt from the U.S. embargoes because there's the quality of service is just not there. When you don't have a stake in your own business, when you have an own stake in your own work, the quality diminishes there. So yes, many times you have to bribe people, $5, $10, a sack of beans, a sack of rice for you to get health care. Free child care. Again, not free, but okay. And then affordable housing. Affordable housing! If you get paid $20 a month and a house in Cuba, like in Pina del Rio, where we're from, the houses on our street, you could buy a house for, I don't know, maybe like a tiny one, you could buy for like $8,000. $8,000. You make $20 a month. Is that affordable? Is that affordable? It would take, wait. Let me do the math really, really quick for you guys. Calculator. Okay, hold on, you guys. Okay? It would take, if you make $20 a month, that is 20 times 12. Oops. You guys, sorry. Let me just do this math really quick. 20 times 12, 240. Okay? So, if you take $8,000 divided by 240, it would take you 33 years. 33 years to buy a house in Cuba. 33 years. I guess that's affordable housing, you guys. You know that everybody lives with their parents and their grandparents because nobody can afford to live on their own. That's just the reality in Cuba. Like, it's very rare to see a young couple get their own place in Cuba. Very rare. Very, very rare. It's multi-generational home housing for everybody. You live and you die in the same house that you grew up in. Actually, my family's house in Pina del Rio, my 89-year-old uncle lives there and he was born there. So, I mean, all right, I think I'm going to end here, you guys, because
zero homelessness rate, all of which Cuba has.
Oh, no homeless. That's also a lie, too. There's homeless people in Cuba. Of course, not as much as here, but there are a lot of homeless people in Cuba, actually.
Thanks to its socialist system, but there's a lot of people who do value freedom of speech over those things, and that's baffling.
Because, mi amor, you can't fix any of the problems of this. You can't say, like, hey, the quality is bad, or we need better education. You can't improve any of these pillars without freedom of speech. That's why freedom of speech is fundamental. Because freedom of speech is not because you have an opinion. It's ownership within your own body. It's a agency within your own body. The ability to say what you want to say without being persecuted by the state is fundamental because it doesn't cost anybody anything. It doesn't cost a single penny to give you the right to say the BS that you said today. It doesn't cost me anything, okay? Except, now I'm sweating. But it doesn't cost me anything to give you that right. That's why it is a right. Like I mentioned earlier in this podcast, if you were been here. That's why it's a right. All of these things require labor from somebody else to give to you. And even if you think that is okay, and that is a thing that we could probably debate, you cannot say that, hey, can we do something else for this education? Can we start talking about AI? And like, just for example, nobody can say, hey, I don't think that we should be teaching our children X, Y, and Z. They can't do that because they don't have freedom of speech. Hey, do you think that we can get this kind of medicine? Like, I don't really like the way that the doctor treated me. I don't really like the way that the doctor treated me. Can't do that. Free childcare. You can't say, hey, that childcare is abusing. I don't like the way that they're spanking my child or hitting my child or reprimanding my child. Can't do that without freedom of speech. And affordable housing, I mean, we already went through that. So like, yeah, freedom of speech is fundamental to all of this. You cannot have any of this. You cannot build upon any of this. You cannot criticize, improve, nothing, any of this without the freedom of speech. So yeah, it is fundamental, mi amor. Yeah, it is. And to jail people is another, it's a crime. It is a crime.
Like,
Anyways,
what
I
do you
think I'm
mean
done.
you value an abstract ideal that's never existed in real life over actual material benefits that do exist in real life?
They don't exist in real life.
And allow people to truly thrive and not live in constant fear of losing their livelihood like we do under capitalism. That's weird.
All right, you guys, I'm not going to do all 24 minutes left of this because this will be a 3-hour show. I'm already at 56 minutes. How does that happen? You guys? Like I said, I started this original live. I thought I was testing, and I actually was live. So I ran with it. So this is my first time I'm on live. I have to figure out why it didn't show up as a live, and then I got surprised. Anyways, I had to figure this out. This was a very impromptu live, and I appreciate you guys for staying with me and enjoying this like reaction with me. I think it's fun. The problem with Cuba, and I think a lot of people commenting on Cuba, I don't think that you have to, be Cuban to talk about Cuba. I fundamentally disagree with that. The problem is that Cuba has not been transparent. And a lot of the information that you get from Cuba, that socialists love to dissect from Cuba, comes from that lack of transparency. It comes from, ironically, one side and one side only, the American perspective. In their quest to be anti-American and anti-imperialist and anti-West, all of the information that they know about other countries comes from the West. It comes from America. It comes from that perspective. So they can't get the full nuanced picture because Cuba is not as transparent as the United States. I mean, sure, can we still criticize the transparency within the US government? Absolutely. But to compare the transparency level between the United States and the transparency level of Cuba, I mean, it's just like this. Again, because there's no freedom of speech and no freedom of press. And that is what I try to get these communists to understand, is all of that. And I thank you guys for being here. Like I said, now I'm just rambling. But what started off as a very testing my live, I just ran with it. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much to Andrew. En tu opinión, ¿debería Cuba tener un sistema presidencial como en los Estados Unidos o México? ¿Un sistema parlamentario como Alemania o Austria? ¿O un sistema semipresidencial como Francia? En mi opinión, debe ser como los Estados Unidos. Debe ser como los Estados Unidos. En mi opinión, que sí tiene su bueno y su malo. He's asking me if the Cuban democracy should be like the United States, or should it be like parliamentarian, like the United Kingdom, or should it be like semi-presidential, like France? I do think it should sort of, I would tend to lean to the United States to kind of democracy. Anyways, I'm gonna go, you guys, because I don't know how to end this live. I thank you guys for being here. Thank you to Andrew for the support. Joel, thank you so much. And HMO, I think. I can't read. It's very small on my computer screen. The Vietnamese that send that to me. Thank you so much. Socialism is the most regressive policy in the entire world. I stand and I will never die defending that. I will always go on the mountain to defend that. Socialism is the most regressive policy ever implemented. Doesn't mean capitalism doesn't have its faults. Of course, everything has a yin and yang, but socialism is regressive, not progressive. And these people have no idea what they're talking about. So I appreciate it. This was a test live that magically became live. Dale, mi amor. If you guys want to follow me, I am Yoel and Mari. If you just search Yoel and Mari on Instagram, Yoel and Mari on TikTok, and Yoel and Mari on X. If you have X, please follow me. Follow us on X, because I'm trying my hardest to get X up, but that's not the hardest platform to grow on. But anyways, thank you guys. I appreciate it. You guys can leave. I'm gonna try to figure out how to end this live. I'll respond to any. Mira esta. Look at this girl, you guys. Umelia Fernandez. I'm Cuban and a YouTuber in Cuba. And make more money than a doctor. Mira eso. No, porque el socialismo no funciona. El socialismo no funciona. ¿Ok? Patria y vida. Que viva Cuba libre. Y pronto nos vemos en La Habana, en una Cuba libre, mi amor, en una Cuba donde yo puedo decir patria y vida, sin tener miedo, sin tener ningún temor que Chivatón me va a coger, ¿me entienden? Así queremos Cuba, que ustedes los cubanos pueden decidir lo que ustedes quieren por su vida, no que un gobierno decida por ti. Y que ustedes se pueden decir si yo soy republicana, o yo soy demócrata, o si yo soy libertaria, o yo soy independista, o yo soy no sé qué. Eso es lo que yo quiero para el pueblo de Cuba. Así que, patria y vida, mejor, mi vida, patria y vida. Nope, I'm staying. Okay, you guys, I don't know how to end this live because it doesn't come up on my YouTube studio. It doesn't show that I am connected. So then how the hell do I stop this live? Oh no, you guys. Oh no. Oh no, what do I do? Ay, Dios mío, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm on OBS. If anybody knows OBS, how do I end this live? A collector's dream says she knows nothing. Okay, I need to figure out how to end this. I'm gonna cut this from the stream. I hope I can edit after the stream. Because the first 10 minutes I was like, I'm live. Oh my gosh. What the fuck? I'm live. And now I'm like, how do I stop this? Encoding overloaded. Consider. Oh, by the way, if you're still with me right now, am I blurry? Because when I look at my screen over here, it looks like I'm blurry. And I'm very clear on my camera. Very clear on OBS. Oh no, please log off, you guys. Unplug your computer. I guess I could do that, right? I guess I could probably do that. Go on your phone and Google it. Okay. No, not blurry. Clear to me. Okay. And how's the voice? How's the microphone? Is it good? I just got this microphone. It's brand new. Look at it, you guys. I just got it. So I don't know if it like is, good or not. Clear. Brian, take a shower. Okay, Brian. There's other websites for that one. And I'm not on those websites. Okay, I'm Googling it. Okay, it says... Stop streaming button in the bottom right. I don't have that. Stop streaming button. Bring up task manager. Oh, okay. Wait, docs. Controls. Oh, I figured it out. No, wait, is it there? Yeah. Oh, yay, I figured it out. I didn't have the control doc. Okay, stop streaming. Okay, bye, guys. Bye. Thanks for being here with me. Gracias. This is my first official stream. Yay, I'm a streamer. Am I a streamer? Should I do Twitch? Anyways, bye, guys. Bye.